What was the greatest pleasure you ever felt? When they gave me morphine and several bags of fluid to flush out a kidney stone, the instant relief combined with the morphine euphoria, sweet baby Jesus. Edit, my highest upvoted Reddit ever. One sentence about dope and kidney stones. Thanks for coming through for me. Internet. I got a morphine shot into an IV line. It was that moment that I understood why morphine was a controlled substance. I had never felt that level of chemical bliss since. This was around 15 years ago and I remember it like yesterday. Waking up and realizing I no longer have to work anymore. After I got my first job, I would wake up early in a panic then think, oh wait. All I have to do is go to work, no homework or studying, just wake up. Go to work. Come home and enjoy. But now I'm like, work again today. Sigh, I like my work. But the fact that I have to do it is a bummer. Still, I'm thankful for it. The shower and bed after camping for 4 days at a music festival. Pro tip. Always wash your sheets before you leave for the fest. That way you get to sleep on nice soft bed with clean sheets. This one is kind of gross for your information. I got surgery to fix a broken nose so I could breathe better. This involved having my nose packed with packing, essentially tampons, for a few weeks. It wasn't the removal of the packing that was amazing. It was the first time I blew my nose shortly after. It felt like a 1/2 cup of mucus was pulled directly from my brain and there was a golf ball sized result in the tissue. The best feeling I ever experienced was directly after that, where breathing through my nose was so incredibly easy I felt like a superhuman who conditioned in the Andes for months of something. I laughed with excitement. Yes, I had the same thing. A septohemoplasty. Having all that gauze packed up inside my sinuses for days and days. The guy gets me to hold a dish under my chin. Starts pulling what seems like yards and yards of bloody gauze out of each nostril. Tears were streaming down my face. I did not care one bit. Oh, such a relief. Waking up and realizing there's no work school today and going back to sleep. Especially snow days. Huge crush on this lady I worked with. Same company. But different locations. But we would see each other once or twice a week when our duties overlapped. I got the vibe that she was interested in me as well. But I never acted on it. There was a retirement party at a local bar. And she mentioned that she was going to be there. I nursed 2 beers for 3 hours on the chance she would show up. Because I didn't want to be hammered like our colleagues. She arrives at 11:30. Walks straight over to where we are sitting. And puts her arm around my waist. Boom. Been together for 16 years. And X200B. Happy. Standing by a raging bonfire after I fell into a MTN stream in the dead of winter. What a coincidence. My greatest pleasure was standing in a MNT stream after I fell into a bonfire in the dead of summer. Edit, all the awards and upvotes really made my day today. Thanks you guys. When school's cancelled for the day and you're half asleep and overhear your mother tell your sister not to wake you up because school's out. Used to leave a smile on my face before snuggling back into my covers. Damn, especially when it's raining or snowing that day, loudly crying face. Taking a shit in my own bathroom after a long vacation. Almost brings a tear to my eye just thinking about it. My first poop after getting my appendix out. Didn't poop for 8 days and when I finally did it was fantastic. I still think about it and smile. Edit. Thank you for the awards, kind strangers. I'll be reliving this great poop all day now. I was on opiates after my shoulder surgery and didn't shit for 3 days. After the head popped through like 2-3 feet of semi-liquid shit blasted out. I have never felt relief like that since. I had a dream that I was a toaster. I woke with a feeling of anticipation. Then I made toast with pure concentration. Afterwards I was entirely fulfilled. Having accomplished the ultimate purpose of my existence. You win. Nobody will ever understand this. But you do, you buddy. You make that toast. Getting my first paycheck after 4 years of just making enough and a year of COVID out at work and getting a job that pay more than I've ever had experienced. Having just something else than a negative number at the end of the month for maybe the first time in 5 years. That. After consulting 3 high-powered attorneys about my fiancé's citizenship case. And being told they wouldn't take it BC, it was impossible to win. I, a layperson, spent a week, night and day, studying the law and putting together 125 pages document. Received in the mail that he won the case and got his citizenship in the US. Edit. Thank you for the support and awards. I'm not going to answer the PMS asking for legal advice or the ones threatening to try to dox me and get me charged with felonies. Kick ass, now that's high powered. Immediately after giving birth. Like right when she came out. All the pressure and heaviness in my stomach went away immediately and it was the best feeling. Going from being stretched out, bloated, with the baby pushing on your organs to totally empty was a huge relief to me. Edit. Yes, it is like taking a huge shit except 1000x more relieving. Also the superwoman feeling after is a close second to this feeling. Then the shower when you get home. I'm glad it wasn't just me. My husband thought I'd lost my mind when I was taking giant steps around the hospital room an hour after giving birth saying look how many activities I can do now, this is amazing. Such a good feeling. I was up for 38 hours. Then I crashed in my bed. I giggled like a child as I fell asleep. Why 38 hours? Farting and that stomachache just disappearing. This happened so bad to me once I ended up at the ER. Woke up in the middle of the night. Excruciating pain. Vomited from how much it hurt. Could barely walk. Drenched in sweat. Have my wife drive me to the ER. Get taken in immediately. Doctors doing blood work and prepping me to do some X-rays. When all of a sudden I ripped the biggest fart of my life. It smelled terrible. But all the pain went away. Most expensive fart of my life too. I had a small project go wrong. As I went to fix one part, a sub-part messed up. So I had to step back to work on that. Then a sub-part messed up. I took another step back. What I expected to take 20 minutes took 4-ish hours. But 5 hours in. I thought there was no way it would work out at all. When I got it all fixed, I did the Billy Madison I am the smartest man alive. I've been riding that high for a few weeks now. Eater. I have to come clean here. This story is 100% true. But almost all comments have assumed I'm a programmer. I am not. The project I worked on was repairing a set of auto-retracting window blinds. I learned a lot about blinds that day. But I am not as cool as these people think I am. 99 little bugs in the code. 99 little bugs. Take one down. Patch it around. 117 little bugs in the code. No evidence of disease. The previous test was a false positive. Best day of my life. The greatest non-sexual pleasure I've ever felt was 32 years ago. I was swimming with friends in the Pacific Ocean at Balboa Park in California. I got wiped out by a huge wave. My friends helped me out of the water. And I went and laid on the grass underneath palm trees looking up at the clear blue sky. A feeling of peace just washed over my body. I've never felt that kind of thing again. Edit. It was Newport Beach. I would chalk that up to the holy shit. I could have died just now and yet I'm still here sort of euphoria. Probably the day we got the keys to our house watching my wife cry because she never thought it would happen. This comment came after the divorce comment in the thread. Reading super quickly I thought it said watching my ex-wife cry after she couldn't keep the house after I got the keys to the house. Almost dying. I was drifting away. And it felt so good. Very scary. My grandmother coded once and used to say how instinctively annoyed she was they brought her back. She said it was the best feeling. Watching people enjoy food I cooked. It never gets old. Probably when I began to go to the gym. The first day was very rough because I have never went to a gym before so I was really tired. When I got home I just took a hot shower. I let myself fell into my bed and man. I fell asleep like in 5 seconds. Bro, I really slept well that night. The best sleep I've ever had. Lying in bed after showering after a workout is a wonderful feeling. You are riding the endorphins from working out and your muscles are achy but it just feels so good. That and the first cut into a fresh piece of construction paper. Walking out of prison and realizing I'm finally free. I was in for 6 years. Just got out the 6th of August. 17 days ago. Not in intensity. But putting back a sock after brooches were removed in my foot. After 1 month of bandages and a special shoe to walk on your heel. Being able to walk with both feet level and in regular shoes was very surprising and awesome. Edit. Thank you for my first awards, this is a great pleasure too. Somewhat similar. Many years ago I broke a bone in my leg and was on crutches for a few months. Happened to go to a pool and someone alerted me to the fact that I could probably walk in the pool since water rehabilitation is a thing. It felt so surreal to walk again that I spent more than an hour just walking back and forth in the shallow end, probably looking like a fool. I cannot imagine the joy that people with far more severe injuries feel when they take their first steps. Putting my feet on near my radiator after coming home from a cold day. How did you take your feet off in the first place? Hearing I love you for the first time. Unconditionally. After growing up in a house of abuse and trauma. Fuck. I've heard those words so many times from people who never meant it. I just want to hear it for real. Had sinus surgery and removing the internal splints after about a week being clogged up was probably the best thing in the world. This is weird. But the day I decided 100% to quit my toxic full-time job and retake my life even knowing I had no fallback. Driving 2 hours from my girl's house with the windows down. On a summer night with a warm breeze tussling my hair like getting a head put by an angel. Spiritual State by New James playing. This overwhelming feeling of sincerity and resolve took me over. Everything was on point. It wasn't a blast of pleasure you get when you do something cool like jumping off a 15-featuring waterfall. But more of a glaze over of goodness and self-care. Like my world opening up again. A pretty rich schoolmate treated us to a fancy restaurant for their birthday and they served us lobster ravioli for a starter. I can't explain the fucking explosion of joy and palate pleasure as I ate something like that for the first time. I don't know if it was the lobster itself. Or the sauce. No meal has ever come close to how good that was. I can still remember it vividly 12 years later. Silly. But that's it. Edit. I'm absolutely loving everyone sharing their food memories in this thread. Please keep them coming. Can't pick out one. But here are a few. My first time shooting up morphine. Me getting rid of my addiction. 8 years clean now. All of my 3 kids being delivered. Becoming debt free. Wild mix TBH. 1. Getting on drugs. 2. Getting off drugs. Character development. Probably when it rains whilst the fan is on and you're under the blankets. Waking up early on a rainy day and going back to sleep. I'm waking up now after sleeping and for just that. Once had to work 33 hours straight doing snow removal. Afterwards went and had a deep tissue massage. Literally the beat feeling in my entire life. Edit. Wow, 2k upvotes. Never thought this would be my most upvoted comment. Thank you all for the love very much. I used to plow snow and did a 32-hour shift. Falling asleep at the wheel and all. Getting home and sleeping for an entire day only to wake up eating chili while there was 3 feet of snow outside was glorious. Proving someone wrong over the internet, of course. Goddamn it. For the last time you did not prove me wrong. Fish do not fall from the sky when it rains. Seeing all the surprisingly wholesome comments on a NSFW AskReddit post. Removed. Getting that piece of popcorn out of your teeth. Getting my back scratched. Wake-induced lucid dreaming and flying in said dream. Never felt anything more pleasurable before. I used to be a competitive swimmer and was a lifeguard for the better part of 6 years. I used to have dreams of flying at the bottom of the crystal clear ocean. I still remember the sensation. The controlled breathing. My arms outstretched just gliding along. Getting my divorce decree in the mail. Hell yeah, high five. When my abuser was sentenced to 35 years in prison. No chance of parole. That must feel good. Fuck that guy gal. Sitting down for the first time after completing my first marathon. I swear that feeling was better than any orgasm. Shit almost made me cry. Sitters high. Landing in Maine coming back from my first combat deployment. Never mind the fact that I completely forgot Maine was a state. It was glorious. I live in Maine. Can confirm it's easy to forget about. Nothing here but trees and old people. Coming home from work and taking off my bra, good fucking lord ladies. If you know you know. Yup. It doesn't even have to be all the way off yet. The serotonin starts pumping right at the unsnap. That unsnap lets my brain know I'm in a comfy place. That unsnap is the sound of freedom. That unsnap allows me to properly scratch under my boobies. Putting my sneakers back on after an evening at the roller rink. Yep, I know I dated myself. But that shit was the most amazing feeling a kid could legally have. Total footgasm. Also, putting on sneakers again after a day of skiing. Fentanyl. They gave it to me after a back surgery and I now understand why it's so dangerous, but they will. The day my daughter was born. I was holding her in front of me, just sitting in a chair in the hospital staring at her. I have the most vivid memory of being so elated and overwhelmed by emotions that my body completely stopped automatic breathing. Every few seconds I would start to run out of air and gasp a little to catch my breath manually. I held her for what felt like an hour. This was years ago and I can confidently say it was the best moment of my life. Graduating college. I almost dropped out, but I'm glad I pushed through and worked hard to achieve my degree. Girlfriend and I came at the same time. Came what? To the same conclusion? My girlfriend is mute but her voice returns for very short periods of time. From what I'm guessing 5 minutes to a time. She told me that she got her voice back. And I was extremely happy and asked her what she said. She said she just repeated my name and I cried hearing this. And X200B. Edit, grammar. Why is she mute if sometimes she gets a few minutes of being able to speak? How does she get the time? Not asking out of callousness, but genuine curiosity. That sounds very touching. When I was around 14 I was in amateur boxing. I had fought this other kid 2 times that year. We were the same age but he was already a nationally ranked fighter and I had under 10 fights. Needless to say he kicked my ass. And he was an absolute douche to top it off. 2 years later it was down to him and me in our state tournament. And I beat the dog shit out of him. I had new white and black shirt and shorts. And they were covered in his blood. I'm pretty sure I broke his nose. I went to nationals that year. Felt like a rock star. My dad telling me that he is proud of me. Sex on certain drugs may ruin normal sex for a while. Tread carefully, kids. Sex on what I was told were e-pills was another level. And yes, we both had no sex drive for weeks after the fact. I almost regret doing it as I feel we'll still never feel like that again without help. Getting a job offer of your dream job, days after rounds of interview and assessments. Confessing my feelings to a longtime friend and having those feelings reciprocated. Getting to hold my micro-preemie son for the first time 4 weeks after his birth. It also happened to be my birthday that day. I read getting to hold my micro-penis. I was playing in a pro-am basketball game. Took a guy to the basket and scored on him. He was second team All-NBA defensive the year before. I was twice his age and balding. The crowd went nuts and the DJ ripped him the rest of the game. Best feeling ever. Sorry I was mistaken. He was second team All-Rookie in 91-92. It was Mark Macon. Falling in love with the BF. I can clearly recall the moment when it happened. Tell me. Almost hurts to remember it honestly. But New Year's Eve 2007 or 2008 I believe. I was in college. I was in love. Me and my girl made love in the evening. Smoked a bowl. Drove downtown. Got good parking. Walked right into a party. Did the countdown. Danced. Hit up the after party and danced some more. I remember thinking on the dance floor. There is no other place I'd rather be in the world. Reminded me of George Carlin. I was both fine and dandy at the same time. The first time I was in the barrel of a wave while surfing. It was so loud and quiet at the same time. I think I could hear aliens talking to me. When a multi-day, vomit-inducing migraine finally lets go. I swear the brain gets flooded with good chemicals after that and you feel better than normal. When I saw my oxygen levels at 95% post-COVID. Landing my first kickflip. I'm pushing 40. And nothing in life has ever felt as satisfying as that first one. Finishing a marathon. I trained for 3 months and although a decent athlete already, I had never run more than 8 miles. I worked really hard to compete and ran the first 20 miles slightly faster than expected, 8 o'clock me, before hitting the famous wall at mile 20. My speed dropped drastically but kept going without walking. As I approached the finish, I saw my GF and friends cheering me on as I pushed through the end and wept for 5 minutes from pure joy and pain. I get chills thinking back on it and have no idea if I'll feel it again should I train for another. Anesthesia sleep. Best sleep ever. Even when they are cutting up your sinuses. New bed sheets, relieved face. When you're on the toilet with nothing coming out but you already took off your shirt and you're fighting for your life, but then there comes one long shit and the stomach cramps are just gone. Boy, you need some fiber. I was 19 and in love. We would just sit in the nature and cuddle. It felt like being high. The moment my sister came home from the hospital after almost dying. Sleeping. The school nurse doing her yearly lice checks by scratching our heads with her long nails. In a similar situation. Getting your hair washed at a salon and they scrub your scalp with their nails. Freaking amazeballs. Taking ice skates off after playing hockey for 2 hours and taking a puck in the foot a half hour after starting. Realizing I'm no longer in love with someone who hurt me. Being loved for who I am. 3 years. 3 fucking years. I finally got to see the end cutscene of Dark Souls I as a Dark Lord. A man of sheer will and dedication. Waking up in a new home with my besties and realizing my ex will never hurt me again. Glad you got out of that. Good luck. Spending the night with my first love for the first time. No sex was had. But so much kissing and cuddling. Even better. Damn, I am lonely. About 6 months into doing Ashtanga yoga I started having these insane orgasms. The first few times. They were so intense I was almost afraid. Then I figured out this trick of trying to focus on what the rest of my body was feeling mid-climax instead of just focusing on my dick. Anyway, if any of you need motivation to get into yoga, just think you can start coming so hard you're afraid your cock open up a wormhole to hell. So you came in your pants while doing yoga? I remember that when I was 13 or so. The first couple times that I masturbated were really intense. Like, my toes would curl up and my muscles would throb and contract like a bastard. After the first 10 or so times it wasn't as intense and it wasn't that good ever again. Never felt that kind of pleasure again. Weird. I was scared as fuck the first time. Remembering the moment I felt like I had finally got back on my feet after abruptly having to leave the military because of marital issues. Wife left me for another man and left me and my 4-year-old daughter to figure it out. I got out of the military with no plan and no job, and within 2 months I somehow managed to get a respectable salary job in a cute little 2-bedroom house on half an acre of land. I remember it was 1 a.m. and I was just finishing up putting up my surround sound in the new place and I just took it all the way in. That was the moment when I stumbled upon the idea that the only thing matters in life is that you're happy. Sounds dumb, but this idea is liberating. Yes. There has been so much build up on this thought since then. Orgasms in my 40s, as a woman. They were great before. But now they're mind-blowing. Husband is not upset by this development. I'm not going to lie. From everything I've heard about how it gets better for women over time, I've occasionally wondered what it would be like, as a guy in my early 30s, to be with a woman who's, say, 15 or 20 years older. Pleasing my partner has always turned me on like crazy. I was diagnosed with MS at age 17 after losing all large and fine motor skills and going completely numb in my entire body excluding the head and neck. I had to relearn everything and missed out on feeling hugs and physical touch for a few months, as well as simple things like walking and feeding myself. I was able to make a full recovery and my best friend encouraged me to exceed what everyone expected of me. The greatest pleasure I ever felt was finishing my first half marathon less than a year after rehabbing. Never take anything for granted. Lovelies. Life is beautiful and you are loved. You can do anything. Skinny dipping off the cliffs in the far outer Stockholm archipelago and sun drying afterwards. We were the only 2 people on that tiny island and I was for the first and last time, so far, in my life completely at peace and blissed out of my skull. The glass of champagne I had at the top of the Eiffel Tower. It was much deserved and a symbol of how far I'd come and how much I'd healed from past things. I once had a massage where I could feel what I can only describe as strings of stress being pushed out of my back. I could actually feel these things being ungrouped and pushed out of my shoulder blades. I still try and get massages when I can but have never felt that since. It was a magical moment. Raised my GPA by a whole point after a rough transition to online classes and got accepted into the university I wanted to go to. Japan. Going to the onsen. My 100% best day was roam around a snowy Hokkaido onsen town with my then GF, soon-to-be wife. Dip in the hot springs after. Have some sex. Dip again. Eat a full course meal and then top it off with a small handmade ice cream. I think that was closest to Nirvana I've ever been. Showering in hot water. Not kidding. The first kiss and I am a man. I was really shy until that point, but my confidence grew from that moment. A cold shower when I was in a house with no air conditioning on a 107-degree day in Puyallup. Wow. Every time my daughter tells me I love you, Daddy. Telling my boyfriend I love him after stopping myself cause I thought it was too soon and I thought he wouldn't say it back. I remember the exact moment. It was a rush of relief. We were halfway through getting it on and I said I love you. And he said it back. I cried a little and it was the most beautiful moment of my entire life. First time my oldest son called me mama. He just waddled up to me and said it right in my face and waddled off again. Possibly the best moment of my life. Not sure how it will be beaten. Laying on my stomach after being pregnant. Meeting my first girlfriend in person for the first time since we'd officially started dating. And learning that I'd been touch-starved my entire life. Hanging out with her and being able to just casually, not even sexually, touch her was so eye-opening and wonderful. It sounds simple and stupid. But not knowing how much you appreciate even basic physical contact and suddenly being able to just hug or put your arm around someone without it being weird is incredible. Working food service, paper route, and factory jobs all of my early adult life. Then I tested number 1 out of 179 candidates for a full-time firefighter job. Haven't had that, fuck me, I gotta go back to work tomorrow feeling in over 6 years. Last week when I started doing my tests for qualification for the kidney transplant list, and finding out that not only will my insurance cover the $80,000,125,000 cost, but that the 5-ish years of hemodialysis will carry over as time served and I won't be starting off at the bottom of the list. My GFR is 11. End stage is 15. So it really couldn't have come at a better time. I am literally dying. When I was 13 playing travel baseball, we were in our last tournament. Global World Series with like 70 teams. We were in the finals and we were down by 2 in the bottom of the 8th, which was extra innings. I hit a walk-off home run on 0-2 count. To add to all of it, it was the 4th of July and when I started running the bases the amphitheater that was in the background of our field was shooting off their fireworks and I actually felt like the coolest person ever. Maybe not greatest, but I grew a bunch of flowers in my garden this year, for the bees, and overheard a girl FaceTiming with her friend talking about how much she loves my garden and was showing off all the flowers that have bloomed. That felt pretty damn good.